Hello and welcome to an episode of The Grafter Show. In this episode, I sat down with Kishan, the owner and founder of Aesthetics Kingdom, a clothing brand that gears around gym wear. We really spoke about his motivations, his why, especially around why he decided to not go into a full-time job, but rather pursue his own dreams of having his own business, his other passions and hobbies, and then also around a lot of motivational and mindset aspects that a lot of entrepreneurs, and even just people who are interested in keeping themselves motivated, will find interesting. So without further ado, here's the episode. Hello and welcome to an episode of The Grafter Show. I'm joined here today by Kishan. Kishan, do you want to introduce yourself and just tell us what you do?
Hi guys, my name's Kishan. I'm 24 years old and I'm the owner of Aesthetics Kingdom, which is a fitness clothing brand.
Great. And then before we get into the clothing brand itself, let's get started off with the fitness side of things. How did you actually first get interested in fitness in general?
I mean, I've always been interested in sports. I've been taking swimming ups literally since I was a baby. Football, cricket, rugby, you name it, literally. I love sports. And then when it came to more serious things in terms of education, like A-levels and, you know, where it becomes like, oh, you need to prepare for university. A lot of things were happening, you know. I achieved like a contract to be a semi-pro footballer. I was offered to be in the Olympics for swimming, which was huge. But then again, that needed a lot of time. And it was like a compromise between doing A-levels and going down the sports route. And I never knew what could happen. Obviously, you never know what can happen down the sports route. But I always said, yeah, look, you know, get something like that is the basis of everything. And I just want to get education as my priority, make sure that is done and sorted. So I went down the A-level route. And when that happens, obviously, you know, all the sports and everything that you do, it's kind of like taken away because your time is like put down in studying, right? So I try to find a way to keep fit at the same time. I was like, look, you know, I'm a fit guy. I've been like this for most of my life. I might as well do something to keep on that level. So I joined the gym. So literally, like we said before, you know, I joined Gym for All, which is based in South London. And yeah, from there, that's where we started. I remember going to the gym for the first time with my friends, no idea what we were doing, literally like trying to read the little descriptions on every machine. And the worst part of it was after each workout, we'd go straight to IKEA and get a hot dog, which was not the best thing to do at that time. But in fact, it's never the best thing to do to have a hot dog after a workout. But literally, that's where it all started. And since then, it's always been a part of my life. Like even throughout university, when there's like tough times in terms of meeting deadlines, getting work done, exams, you know, I've always had fitness where I could go to 24/7 gyms such as, you know, the gym group and just get a workout done. And that's kind of how my fitness ambition started.
That's actually really interesting. So you actually had the opportunity of doing sports, any sort of sport full time.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, how did you decide not to do that and go down the education route? Was it just around the security aspect of it?
Yeah, exactly. I think it was definitely more to do with the security part. I don't know if that's like a more Asian thing, but that's just you know, that's just how it was. I had good grades for GCSEs, and going down the A-level route just seemed like, yeah, you know, this is the next step. The sports stuff was kind of like a subconscious thing that I did on the side. You know, it would be on a Saturday or Sunday. Like Saturday morning, I'd be swimming. Sunday it would be a football match, and that was just something that, you know, I enjoyed doing. But from Monday to Friday, the main thing was the studying, and that majority time taken up is just, you know, rooted into you that, yeah, this is what you need to do. So I thought, okay, yeah, that's just the best route for me to go down at the time. So.
Oh, nice. So you then decided to start working out, stay in shape and everything. At one point in time, did you then decide, you know what, I need to start a business and clothing for gym stuff is the thing that I want to do?
Okay. So this is what interesting because obviously after A-levels, I was obviously very good at maths and physics, and that chose me to do engineering at university. Now, literally at this point, I even at university, I tried to join football teams and I always go to trials, get in the team. And then after a week, I'd have to quit just purely because there'd be so much work to do. And after the 4 years, I never thought that I would be starting up a business. You know, I'd always think, yeah, look, I'm doing a degree and this is probably what I'm going to end up doing. Just apply for a job, start working. So that kind of avenue to go down was very typical of like the people I was around. It's like an environmental factor. When there's a lot of people around you with a certain idea and you kind of have a subconscious different idea, you know, that it gets buried in a way. You know, all the people around you have a real effect on what you do. And subconsciously, like, I never wanted to do a 9 to 5 job, go into London and work and come home and have a set amount of holiday a year. I remember there was one time I had this contract whereby, it said it was for a job, one of these offers I had, and it said, look, you have like 2 weeks holiday, 14 to 20 days holiday a year. And I was like, well, is this signing up to like some sort of prison in a way? Like, what's going on? Why is the holiday so short? I'll be working for a company, helping them to achieve their goal, but it's not benefiting my goal. Everyone has a goal. Everyone has a passion deep down. But, if you're not chasing that, you're helping someone else to achieve their goal. So anyway, I graduated. I didn't have anything lined up because, from subconsciously, like I said, it was just something was really off-putting about going straight into a job. I was lucky enough to land a contract in terms of programming. Programming is something I did enjoy on the side. And I worked with this guy for 2 months at a PhD kind of level. So I managed to earn some revenue there. And then after that, I had a choice if I wanted to go traveling or literally anything I wanted to do. And at this point I said, yeah, this is the time to start a business. And then comes the question, like, what business do you want to start off? That's a massive question for anyone. But then again, like I said, you need to go down to the passion that you really have. What do you really enjoy doing? And like I said before, gym was the one thing I could resort to, even when I couldn't do all these other sports that I used to do. So when I had this opportunity, I said, okay, look, it has to be in fitness because I want this to be, a significant part of my life. And it went into clothing purely because I look at my drawers and try and find out t-shirts, and I just don't like anything that I have. And I was thinking, okay, well, fitness clothing is something I can have a go at, and it's kind of a reminder towards me that I need to keep fit, I need to keep fit and look good and be the best I can be. So that's kind of the origin for it.
Yeah, it's a great message because other people that I've spoken to as well on different business ventures that they're doing, quite often it's not about what they can do for other people, but it's this thing that they want to do for themselves.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Like you, I open my drawer and there are these clothes there, but I don't want to wear it.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to make great clothes for
it's not just a woman's problem, It's definitely a guy's problem too, Just looking at it, and there's nothing that I'm satisfied with, all these brands have their logos, like a Calvin Klein, for example, this guy who have CK, you're representing him, but like there's still something. How can you put his brand on you? Do you know what I mean? Unless you really like the material, what the t-shirt actually is. Yeah. And a lot of people like, how there's Gucci, there's lots of these big brands, right? That and then the clothes are worth so much. But compared to Primark, there might be a t-shirt at Primark that's a better fit for you, and you might look better in it. But then people will still go out and buy these expensive clothes. So there's, you need to find like. I always thought I need to find this kind of balance whereby I'm wearing something really, really nice, but I really, really like it, and others really, really like it too. And that was kind of the message behind the logo too, because I tried to make the logo as attractive as possible. So yeah.
Just for the record, I'm fine with Primark clothes.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I'm completely fine with it too. It's just that it's just one of those things where I just couldn't be satisfied with anything, even no matter if it was Primark, Gucci, you name it, whatever it is, I'm just not satisfied. So that's kind of why I went down the clothing route too.
So how long ago was this that you decided that's it, I'm going to create this brand?
This was in December 2016. There's a funny story actually, because before the brand was created, I was actually an Amazon seller. So I was designing accessories that would be sold on Amazon. And that was before I even landed this contract, that 2-month contract I mentioned. I was selling this foam roll. I designed it myself. Again, it was under that brand. And then I thought, yeah, look, clothing is always the thing that I really want to do just because of that idea I said. And after I had that 2-month contract, got the work, had the capital I needed, never needed an investor, I put it towards that clothing brand. So,
nice. So then from December 2016... talk us through, like, how long did it take to even get your first piece of clothing out there? Like, how was that process? Because I think a lot of people probably find that bit the most challenging. Oh, I've got to do this, I've got to find manufacturers for the clothing, I've got to do marketing, I need a website, I need to do this. How long was that process? And what are the types of things that you had to do during that time?
I'd say that process, I mean, for me at the time, when I start working on something, I just keep working on it nonstop. So it didn't take very long for me to set this up. I would say the whole process was around 8 to 9 months, from literally starting up the idea to actually having the product in my hands and the whole stock of it. If you're if you're starting a clothing line, you know, you need to first think about why you want to start it. You know, like I said, you know, the idea that I just go to the drawers, can't find anything that I want to wear, that's nice, and that I can wear in the gym at the same time. So that your reason needs to be clear cut. Once you've got the reason, you need to take things step by step. Just have the first step there. You don't want to think about, like, you know, you mentioned everything along the lines, but you'd never want to think, oh, that's everything I need to do right now. I need to think about all those little aspects. You need to just take a small first step. And that's just with anything, you know. Anyone famous that you've heard of has always taken a small first step. Even if they failed or succeeded, it's always been a small first step, you know. Like 10 years down the line, this clothing brand could be huge, or it could be nothing, you know. You never know how it could be. But as long as I knew, as long as I took that first step, that, you know, I could do the next step, take it step by step, and eventually come out with something amazing. And I was just thinking that time when I first took that very first step of designing the clothing on a notepad, I thought, okay, you know what? Along the year, I'm definitely going to have this clothing on me, and I'm going to be going to the gym and wearing it and representing it. And yeah, and it happened. So that was the best part of it. Yeah.
You actually mentioned something really interesting. You were literally designing your pieces of clothing in a notebook. So that's actually probably how you started off. Like, how did you then go from that design on your piece of paper to finally having a t-shirt manufactured?
So I obviously created the designs, and I thought about, I had a set budget. It's not the biggest budget, but I had a set budget, and I thought, okay, what is the most likely clothing items that people are going to buy? So it would be t-shirts, for example, jogging bottoms, jackets, stringers and tanks, you know. That's basically what every gym goer needs. So if you're out there and you're going to the gym and you don't have that, you make sure you have that because that's what you need. Yeah? If you don't have those, I don't know what you're wearing. And yeah, so from designing the clothes, it was networking. Networking is obviously one of the biggest part of a business. You know, you need to know people in the industry, and you need to know the suppliers. Okay, you need to know who they are, the quality of the clothing that they bring out, and what they can do for you, and the service that they bring. So that is a very, very long process. You know, talking to a bunch of different people. Then once you've found your supplier, and you're happy with the samples that they're able to produce, because my clothing is very composite. You know, there's a lot of different materials put in to make it perfect. So once they've decided that, you know, they can actually make it for you, you know, you decide to agree on a price, and that's done. And then once they've shipped it over, in the meantime, once they start shipping it over, in the meantime, start creating a website, start thinking about a load of other things, like how you're going to market it. You know, a marketing strategy. It could be very basic, like, you know, for example, how we met was just doing the stall at a local gym. So I was very lucky enough to know the owner who let me set up the stall there. That's it. And then just go ahead and shoot off into it. You know, you never know what can happen unless you take that very, very first step. And yeah, it's been great. It's been great since opening it.
There's something that I want to touch on there around the actual clothing stuff. So I've spoken to a few different people who are working on different fashion items and products, and quite often I find that's probably the most difficult part of everything. Yeah. So I've spoken to a lot of people, and they're very picky around the fabric and the materials and like you were saying, the composite. Yeah, exactly. How long did that take you to actually decide on, okay, this is the correct sort of material that you want to go for, and this is the supplier for you? What sort of time frame were you working in?
For me, like you know, like I said, as soon as I start working on something, I would just keep at it. So it literally took under a week to research all the materials and design what I needed to get out of this. I researched everything, exactly, like all sorts of different materials, even the ones that you can't even think of sourcing. You know, there's a material that's even made out of wood. I remember reading about it, but I don't remember the name. But there's a material that, you know, where there's essentially parts of wood that are in your clothing. Yeah, it's crazy, and there's loads of different stuff out there. But you know, you need to find what is reasonable, because obviously, let's say this kind of wood material that is in your clothing, it might be really expensive. You know, it might not be good enough for your budget. Yeah, you might not be able to save up for it. So you need to think a bit more reasonably, but at the same time, keep your passion in what you really want to design. You know, that's the main thing. Yeah, I'd say it took under a week.
Yeah, that's a really good turnaround time, because from some of the other people I've spoken to on various different projects, they've said it's, you know, sometimes that process takes, you know, weeks, months.
I can understand that. Yeah, I completely appreciate that, because obviously, you know, you you need some inspiration about what you're going to design. But for me, at this point, I already had that inspiration in my mind. I knew what I wanted the logo to be, what I wanted the clothing to represent, what I wanted it to look like on someone. And then I just put it on paper. So all that was before that week, the time frame. But as soon as I knew that, then that week started of me researching and just drawing it up and then getting the design done.
So you mentioned you designed everything, you were talking to suppliers, you were networking, and then you started doing stuff like the website and thinking about other marketing activities. Now, I'm assuming you were doing all of that by yourself?
Yeah.
So you had no other help at all. I've got two questions there, actually. Firstly, how did you go about prioritizing what you needed to do when? And then secondly, how did you actually manage your time getting all of those things done?
Well, like I said, like I designed the clothing, always have a notepad and just jot stuff down, I know, but every day people are on their laptops, but just have a simple notebook and just draw some stuff down, just have a few ideas and just go from there. Because literally, you never know what can happen. If you're drawing stuff, writing ideas down, you might see something that is there and think, okay, you know what, this is going to work. So I had a bunch of different strategies down. And it all just fitted in perfectly because there was around 2 months for delivery of the clothing to come. So they obviously mass produced it and then they sent it over. And in that time I knew that was enough time for me to get everything sorted. So started writing down a bunch of different marketing strategies and executing them, and even networking them at the same time. Like I was contacting all sorts of gyms around Croydon. There's not just bodybuilding gyms, there's also very, very general gyms that just focus on cardio, and there's also PT studios, all sorts. Just contacted them, see what they say, and sometimes you don't even get a reply. But that's something that you're going to learn in business. It's kind of like a numbers game. You have to keep going at it, keep launching emails out and seeing what responses you get, and when you land something, it's great.
Yeah. So then you mentioned specifically around stuff like website and those types of things, the more technical aspects. You also mentioned earlier that you were actually doing a bit of programming. So did you actually create the website and everything yourself?
Yeah, exactly. So at that time, the only programming language I knew was MATLAB, which is obviously more towards engineers and not really useful for creating websites. So at the time, I was looking at website builders. So this was another part of the research strategy. So there was like Shopify, Wix, Weebly, and then I ended up going with one of them that would be reasonable in cost, but also can get my e-commerce site up and running and does really well. And also another thing is the theme, because obviously your brand, it needs to have a specific look. There's an interface there between your brand and the customer, and it needs to look good. So I saw one of these themes on one of the website builders, and it literally helps you create the website very, very easily. You obviously need images. At the time I was thinking, okay, well, I've only got sample t-shirts. I need to go out and do some photography and get some real images onto the website. So that was another task that I needed to do, which was find models, speak to them. But that was very, very, very easy in a way, because the gym I'm currently at, a lot of them are, big guys, big bodybuilders, and they're often doing photo shoots with you if you're just a nice guy, you just speak to them and see what happens. So
did you actually do the photo shoots yourself? Did you actually go?
I did.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
That's a funny story, because at this point, I'm thinking at the same time I'm creating this brand, obviously want to minimize costs. And luckily, my aunt won a Canon camera in a raffle, and she never uses any of this stuff. So I'm literally teaching her how to use the iPhone at the moment. So she doesn't know anything right now. So literally, she had this camera and she never uses it and just sitting at home. So I was like, okay, look, I'm going to use it, take some photos at the gym, and then start editing it. So I got Photoshop and learned how to use that as well. And yeah, that was it.
Awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Looks like all the stars were lining up in your favor.
Yeah, literally, yeah. But that's the thing. I knew there's going to be some sort of struggle in a way, but as long as you take small steps and see what the next stage is, then it's going to be okay. Everything starts small and hopefully ends up big. So
yeah. So you had the idea then in December 2016. You launched around August 2017?
Yeah, exactly, August 2017. Yeah.
So where you're kind of on that journey at the moment. So where would you say you are now in the journey, and where do you want to get to?
So in terms of this brand, it's I've designed it. Now it's obviously in the marketing and sales stage, So, in my mind, I've got lots and lots of different ideas for the next jackets I want to release, next t-shirts, even do a women's clothing line, hopefully. But at the moment, the main concentration is getting the name out there, getting the sales running. And I've taken 2 guys on board that are helping me, market it really well online. So in the short term, it's literally building up traffic to the website, naturally building up its name on Google, because obviously a lot of people buy SEO and get that sorted, but this hopefully chucking down traffic into the website will promote it on Google. And then once that's done, literally just thinking of the next stages I can do in terms of marketing. I've had a couple of new ideas. For example, speak to people at universities and see if I can set up stores there, have some student ambassadors that represent the brand possibly. And yeah, it's the short term is literally boost the sales, and then in the long term, I want this to be huge. I want everyone wearing Aesthetics Kingdom. I want everyone to be thinking, yeah, you know what, this looks amazing. And even now, I have a few ambassadors that go to gyms, and they say every time that they walk in, at least 2 or 3 people are asking them about, the brand itself. Yeah. What is that? I've never seen it before. And it's probably because of the design and how it's like a different shade on the back if you've seen the t-shirts. And yeah, so that's basically it.
So apart from Aesthetics Kingdom, what else do you do?
Well, in my spare time, I do like coding. Like you said, I took a course in Python, just learning a bit more about programming languages in general. Still doing the gym, still working hard, trying to keep fit. And at the same time, my next goal is trying to become a pro golfer. Getting really close. So like we said before this, I'm stuck between either getting bigger, going to the gym, keeping the calories up, or just taking it a tone down and, just becoming strong and toned and looking good and being able to hit the ball really well. But apart from that, there's also another startup I might be joining. So we've got another little idea behind the scenes, a tech startup. So that's also another good avenue. So I've literally got this dilemma I'm facing with the golf, but also another tech startup that's coming soon.
So. I might have to get you on another episode to talk more in detail about both the golf and the tech startup.
Yeah. I'd love to talk about it. There's so much I can talk about with the golf. But it's been great. Literally, like just one of those sports that obviously your dad brings you in and tries to teach you. Because I can imagine if you're taking your first swing in golf, you won't be able to swing it well, and you just get frustrated really easy and you just give up the sport. But luckily, I've got a great dad who just taught me throughout the years how to play. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to get you on another episode to talk through that. That's really interesting in itself, actually, the journey to becoming a pro golfer. So would you say Aesthetics Kingdom is essentially your full-time at the moment?
Yeah.
With that being your full-time, and you've also brought in 2 people, it's clear that there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. How do you just manage kind of all of that work, I guess, that's probably in your head or in your notebook? Like, how do you then manage that? And then how do you share that vision with the 2 people that you've also brought on now?
I think it's discipline. Being an entrepreneur, you have to be in a certain routine throughout the day. People say that, we wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, we do, I don't know, yoga, we start reading stuff before we even have breakfast. They'll say all these things, but it's true in a way that they've set up their routine. As long as you're not binging on Netflix and you're doing little stuff that will help improve yourself for the future every day, then you're going to see results. If you wake up, have a healthy breakfast, think about what you actually want to accomplish in the morning, get that done, and then see what's next in the afternoon, and just keep working throughout the day. Wake up as early as you can, eat well, live healthy, and just make sure if you have a goal, chase it for sure. There's no point waking up and doing all these other random stuff just by like looking on Instagram, wasting time on the internet, wasting time chatting with friends like all day. And this is the thing, I get a lot of stick from my friends that say, I don't talk enough on the WhatsApp group, and that's completely fine. They say, look, let's go out or whatever, but that's the thing. And they also talk about wrestling, sports, football, you name it, anything, right? They'll talk about it, and I'm always missing out. And there's a good reason for that. If I get involved in that, I'll be talking for hours, but it will waste time. Literally, if I want to meet with friends, I'm saying, look, yeah, I want to do my business now. We're going to party up later, but right now, this is the time for me to work hard. You know, there's no point wasting the time on WhatsApp when we could actually be together at an event, or for example, someone's birthday, 2 weeks down the line. There's no point talking about sports and whatever in between, because it's a time waster. So it's discipline and just keeping consistent at it. You have to wake up every day and think, okay, I've started something and I want to keep at it, because if you don't, it's going to quickly collapse for sure. So it's just little efforts every day, and that's the best way to picture it, because you don't want to think, oh, I've got to do this 5-6 stages of working out designs, manufacturing, networking, all the way up to marketing and sales. Like you mentioned, you can't overwhelm yourself with that. Just take it step by step.
Yeah, you really tempted me to go and just press leave group on a whole bunch of WhatsApp
groups.
No,
it's true. It's for sure. Like literally, I guarantee you, it's a time waster. If I really wanted to speak to someone, I would only use WhatsApp to say, hey, look, should we go out for coffee? Go out for dinner. Let's speak then, because that's a proper real interaction. In a way, Instagram, Twitter, and all these other social media sites is good because of the exposure it has, right? Like Instagram, I read earlier today, that has 400 million users, which is huge. So the exposure it has is great, and it's such a powerful tool, which I'm sure you know about, right? But at the same time, you use it in your very, very small recreation time. You do not allocate a big time towards it, because it's not gonna reflect good, and it's just gonna get you in this cycle whereby that it's not a good thing. Believe me, binging on Netflix is not a good thing. Do not do it. Just try and find that little thing that you really enjoy, and take a step towards it to start your own business. Like me and you are sitting here, we both started up something, and I promise you something big will happen in the future as long as you keep at it.
Yeah, so. Definitely. I think probably something to add to that is that some people might take the message that I can never do any of this stuff. And that's probably not the message. The message is you can do some of it, but you really have to focus and prioritize, whether it's your business or whatever it is in your life that is the real thing that's going to get you somewhere.
Yeah.
And take the steps to doing that rather than doing, binge watching shows on Netflix, for example, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's not that we're not saying don't watch any Netflix.
Yeah.
It's probably you can watch a show now and then.
Exactly.
But manage your time.
Manage it for sure. 100% manage it. Yeah.
Let's talk about routine. So you obviously mentioned routine. What does a typical day in your life look like?
Okay, so for me, it's wake up at around. Well, right now it's quite chilled because I'm only taking care of 2 people that are helping me with the marketing. So it's like waking up at 8 o'clock, going downstairs, creating this healthy meal. It's literally a shake for breakfast. I have a shake, and it has a bit of protein powder, pure whey protein, some oats, banana, apple, and some nuts. And sometimes if I want to put coffee in it, I put some coffee in it to give me a little bit of a boost. Chuck some milk in, and there you go. You have a healthy shake, and it has everything you need for a good healthy breakfast. Yeah. Then once that's done, go straight on the laptop. Look at the website. Look at what's happening. Think about a new strategy that I can possibly implement, or talk to university students, because that's the current strategy. Look at the application, see if I can take them on board. And then comes lunchtime, which is training time for me. Hit the gym with a few of my friends. I'm lucky enough to have a friend that trains with, actually knows Michael Dapper. So so he comes and trains with us, which is really, really cool. So that's midday. Then come home, have lunch really quickly, and then see what else needs to be done. At the moment, like I said, the golf thing and the programming thing and the tech startup, that's at a very small stage at the moment. So golfing is something I can always do in the evening. The tech startup is just a little bit of a chat every evening with some of the boys. It's not too much time allocated to those 2 aspects. It's just the majority of time through the day is allocating to what I can do for the business right now. I've got a certain number of stock. How can I get the name out there, and how can I improve sales? Literally, that's it. So yeah. But that's just the regime. I'm doing that consistently, so I'm seeing small improvements day by day. But I remember that there was a time when we can say this, that we are always dedicated to the business. We're trying our best to keep it consistent. But there's going to be times when you don't really feel like it. You don't really feel like being consistent. Everyone has their down time. You're not going to be motivated 365 days of the year. you're gonna have your downtime. So in that downtime, just appreciate. Look, you've had such an up stage. Take your downtime to relax, reflect, and then just be ready for the next bit. So, that always happens. So I would say that is the one thing that you shouldn't let bug you. Once you've had your downstage, take it as a hit, and then come back from it.
Yeah. Do you do anything, just on that, on a regular basis just to kind of reset your mind? Because I imagine if you're always in that mode where you've got to get stuff done and you're always in that work mode, that can obviously be quite stressful. Yeah. So is the gym the automatic way of you kind of relieving that stress, or is that the golf, or is it something else that you do?
Yeah, no, it's exactly what you said. It is the gym and it's the golf, literally. Just going to the gym, working out with the boys, taking my time, and literally pushing myself to the limit at the gym is always a great stress reliever. And hitting golf was also another stress reliever. And literally that takes care of it for me. I can imagine if I didn't do those two things, I'll be very, very, very stressful very quickly. And you do not want to be around me when it's like that. But they're both great stress relievers. I guess that's why everyone, the gym is becoming such an attractive place to be now. In 2018, and it works for me. So.
Fair enough. One thing we didn't talk about is the stock. Is that something that you're actually physically posting out yourself, or have you got some other mechanism to handle that for you at the moment?
It's very manual at the moment, actually. Unless I'm getting like thousands of orders a day, which I'm not at the moment. It's very manual. So literally, it's me handling it, me processing the orders, me talking to people that have queries. I get a lot of emails saying, "Oh, is this size right for me?" And it's a very manual process at the moment, which is fine with me. So as long as there's sales coming through, I'm happy.
And what motivates you throughout the day? Because I imagine, like you were saying, there are going to be those moments where you're questioning yourself, or you're maybe thinking, "Hey, I'm not motivated to keep going on this," or when am I going to achieve what I really want to achieve? Yeah. How do you get through that? What motivates you to keep going?
For me, it's looking back at the past and seeing what I've done up to date, right? Since I was a kid, I was put in all these sports, and I've achieved a lot. So far, I've been lucky enough to sit here, talk with you, and say, look, I've got my own business. You just have to look back and say, I've achieved all this, and I'm not just going to let it go. If you do let it go, then there's going to be a massive slump, and you don't want to be in that stage. You just want to take the hit and say, okay, this is my little bit of a down stage, but I'm going to come back from it. So it's just literally reflecting back at all the achievements that you've had in your life, and saying, if I could do that, then why can't I do this? People have billion-dollar businesses, but they all had a very simple start to it. No one's born a millionaire or billionaire unless you're born into a family that has all that already. But it all started somewhere. Literally for me, it's just looking back and saying, I've accomplished all this. Just keep going. I've got the intelligence and the power to do it. Why not?
It's a great message, actually, too. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are thinking, when am I going to realize upon all of this effort that I'm putting in, and when am I going to see the returns? And sometimes it's not as obvious as that, but it's all about looking back, actually, and what you've accomplished so far, and using that as motivation to realize I can do so much more.
Exactly.
That's a fantastic message. Looking back at your own journey, then, what are some of the main challenges that you faced throughout your journey so far?
Probably a lot of pressure from parents, in a way.
That's a really good topic to talk about, to be honest.
We can talk about that for hours, because that is always a huge thing, And there's a really important message here, because people around you, they will always have their own idea about their life, okay? And there's only one person that can dictate your life, and that's you. No matter what you get, even if it's from your parents, you have to really, really believe in yourself and what you want to accomplish. And I spoke with this guy. I met up with the CEO of a startup called Tidal, and I spoke to him yesterday. And Tidal's it's a artificial intelligence machine learning system towards weight loss and muscle building. So it literally tells you about it reads your composition, you give it some information, and it tells you what to eat and what you need to do specifically to achieve a specific goal. It cuts out this personal trainer speech that they give you, whereby they say, you need to do this. You need to be, if you want to gain muscle, you need to be on a high carb diet, high protein, and this is how you're going to gain your muscle. But that's not necessarily the case. In fact, there was this really interesting fact whereby he told me, in order to lose weight for a certain type of person, they actually need to be on a high carb, high fat, and low protein diet. And in that way, they actually do lose weight. And it's been proven through data, like me and you were both like software developers. So it's actually been proven. It's amazing. Personal trainers will never tell you that. They'll never ever say, look, if you lose your weight, go on this high carb, high fat diet.
Well, I think just on that, I think most PTs though have got a generic formula. They're not scientists. They're not doctors or anything. They don't actually know nutrition down to the details, and they don't have the data either. So quite often they've got a generic formula that they're then applying to a range of clients. And that's something that I've witnessed myself, where you'll get a lot of PTs who essentially have a template, and that's the template that they will apply to whoever it is. But it's all just a matter of just tweak a few numbers based on maybe age, weight, height.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not taking anything away from personal trainers. They're great. They know their information with regards to the human anatomy and whatever it is, but it's a very outdated system, and in that respect, it's a very static system. So the system that this guy created, Tidal, it's a very dynamic response. It takes data in, and it's always consistently learning, which is why there's this massive tech boom of startups at the moment.
So you're talking about your parents, and
literally. So back to the parents thing. It's they will also have that idea of being in a job. Both my parents, they started working at a very young age, and they're still, even to this day, they're still in the same role, and they've worked very hard to be where they're at. And I don't think that they were in their position at their time when they were younger to say, look, I want to do this and I want to do that. They had people to look after, they had family to look after. They came over from Africa, and it was very, very pressured for them in a way, and they've been used to this life for a long, long time. And I'm very grateful in a way that my parents have, come around to the fact that, I've started up this own business and I'm doing it a different way, rather than going into a normal job and just bringing a steady income and going down that route. But I know that for a fact, I'm really, really happy right now. And that's what's really important too. So remember that everyone around you will have their own different perspective what you should do. Hopefully by now, you would know your talents and what you're good at and what your passion is, and go down that route for sure. Because even if let's say you're a cleaner and you're the best at cleaning, and that's what you really want to do, if you go down that route and you find a way to make money out of it, or you find a way to create a business out of it because you're so passionate in it, believe me, that's, you're going to have huge respect, because you've done something that other people would be scared to do. People are so scared to quit their job and be in a startup. It's very, very, it's a huge jump, because obviously they have liabilities, they have rent, they're already at consistent income, and jumping to a startup, it's like, wait, hang on, where's the money? That's what they want to ask. But you need to find align your passions with a startup, or create one yourself.
Yeah, you said something like, to me, that really is so key about the people around you, and how they might have a different opinion or a different view, but you should not get discouraged by that view. That is their own view, but you are your own person. So whatever it is that you're passionate about, you should really go and chase that dream and make it happen. Don't get worried about what other people will think, because there are always people in the world who are going to think something different to what you think. And if you just spend all your time worrying about what other people think, you're not going to get anywhere.
Exactly.
So I really resonate with that message.
For sure.
So that's a great message to have. And then, what advice would you give people who are maybe thinking about starting up their own clothing brand, whether it's related to gym wear or whether it's even outside of gym? Any advice that you would give them?
Before you start the clothing line, really think about, if this is your passion. Because firstly, I want people to follow their passion. So if it's designing a clothing brand, then the next step you want to do is think about the logo, what your brand represents. You really need to have a message with your brand. So for example, my message in our brand is that, we have the face of a lion on the logo, and that is like the lion is like the king of the jungle. So we want to say, look, when you come into the gym, you look the best, you look aesthetic, you look amazing. So have a clear message of what your brand is. And then, like I said, start very small. So design some stuff, see if you can do that, and then take it from there. But really have a clear message about the logo, what the brand represents, and then start designing. Just take a notebook like I did, or whatever, however you want to design, just take a small step and start it. there's loads of different issues that come down the line, like, the suppliers, budget, which suppliers can do what I need to do, marketing, sales, which is obviously much later down the line. But you take that first small step of really knowing what you want to do in your clothing brand, what it represents, why you want to do it, and then take the first step.
Yeah, fantastic advice, actually. I've seen so many people, whether it's clothing or not, actually, they've jumped into something and then tried to retrofit their why into it.
Yeah.
So I think my message on that would probably be, don't worry about chasing the money. Try to figure out what you're passionate about and what your why is. And then if you go fully into that, you'll probably find a route which will then become a business or will end up being in a revenue turner for you.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. That's the biggest message that I would say right now. Like, never, ever chase the money. Never chase the money. Let the money chase you. Because if you chase the money, that money is coming from a business, right? And that business already has their own goals. And the person at the top of that business has a direction for the company. It's their dream that they're trying to make come true. Right? And you're helping that happen. And if you want to do that, that's cool. There's nothing against that. But it's kind of, in a way, for me, it's like diminishing your passion. Everyone out there has a really cool hidden passion that you'd never know about, but just because of possibly the environment's keeping it really, really low down in them. So yeah, literally do not chase the money. Let the money chase you. And startups, like I said, I spoke to the guy yesterday. He created a really, really good point. He said, people are working their lifetime, and their salary, obviously they take a pension. A pension comes out of that, and then once they've had their 50 years in work, 50, 60 years, that money comes to them. But if you gave up, let's say 5 to 7 years now in creating something, like me and you, we know how to code. If we coded something that was amazing and we spent 5 to 7 years just creating it, and we've got investors or whoever, and it was a massive hit, then financially all the income would come to you. You would skip those 50, 60 years of building up, and you'd be a millionaire. You'd be so happy. So those 5-7 years of investment, it doesn't have to be 5-7 years. It could be 2 years, it could be 10 years, but just a small little bit of passion at the beginning would save you a lifetime of work that you're in this kind of, as they call it, the rat race, so that's just one way to think about it.
And they're always raising the retirement age as well.
Yeah, so exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, it's great. Is there anything you want to add, or any other final tips and pointers?
No, I think I've covered it all. Literally, guys, everyone out there, if you really want to get away from your 9-to-5 job, or you really want to follow your passion, because even people today say that, oh yeah, I've got this passion and I'm doing it, but it might not be their passion. It might just be influenced by other people. Really find out what you really like doing. It can be the smallest thing, like I said, basics of things like cleaning. That could be the basic of thing that you might love doing. Make it into a business somehow. Show your passion off, and then in the long term, it will pay off, because you will have that self-driven motivation inside of you to get it done. But believe me, never, ever just chase the money. Just don't jump into a job just because someone said so, because in the long term, you're not going to be happy. Man, the number of people that complain saying, I've got to take this day off, to attend a wedding, or this day is not very good. The weather's rubbish today. Well, forget that. You could have created this startup, done what you want to do, and you could be in, I don't know, America, Indonesia, or wherever, anywhere sunny, and just be having the time of your life.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would say find the passion and find a way to make it work in whatever way you can. Because people right now, obviously they're working very hard during their day. Just find a way to make it work. Just really believe in yourself, because every famous person you see, if it's on Instagram, TV, they've all started up just by taking that small first step into what they really want to do. And that will happen to you. So
100% agree. Yeah. That's a great message to finish on as well. Yeah. So where can people find you?
Oh yeah, so Aesthetics Kingdom. So you can find us at www.aestheticskingdom.co.uk. You can also follow us on Instagram at aesthetics.kingdom.official. And yeah, just take a look. If you like us, just DM us, send us a message. if you like this podcast. And yeah, just find us on there. We also have an email if you'd like to send us an email in at info@aestheticskingdom.co.uk. Just send us a message and let us know what you think of the podcast and the clothing. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kishan.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Grafter Show. I hope you found this interesting. I certainly did. It's always easy to forget what your why is when you're trying to accomplish something, especially when it comes to business. And Kishan really hit home on how important it is to find your why and stay true to that. You can find us on www.thegraftershow.com and also on Instagram @thegraftershow. New episodes are released every fortnight, and you can subscribe to us as well on iTunes.